So in the previous video where we were trying to build a certain section, or we're trying to build this website, we created this amazing navigation bar where you can just click and see this nice drop down section with these beautiful interactions on the menu. And thanks to one of our friends on the comment section, they asked, how can we make this navigation bar responsive? How can we make it fit into other screens? And so in this video, we're gonna try and see how we can make this specific navigation bar to be responsive, and we're gonna do it step by step, so that as you can see, when I bring it inside and I come to like the size of a font, which is around here 390-ish. So as you can see, it's eating up our navigation. So the question is, how can we make it responsive? How can we make it appear like mobile friendly? And this is what we want to do now. My name is Joe and this is Dive. Let's get started. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna modify this navigation bar. So this is our navigation. It's called navigation 3, and so I'm just gonna click it 2 times, and then I'm gonna go directly to the component. So to make it responsive, we need to change this desktop primary into 2 different variables. So we need, in other words, we need to create 2 different states so that they can be 3, one for tablet, one for mobile. So let's go back again to our home page, and to create for tablet, we just need to come here to this plus breakpoint, and we just need to click here plus and click tablet, and then we can just click here again phone and click phone, so that we can make, you know, we can make it for a tablet and a phone. But now as you can see, what happens here again, it eats up our navigation, and also, so this doesn't really make much sense. So but don't you worry, let's now dive back into the navigation, so we can create different variants so that they can go into their different respective pages in sections. So that is, one goes to the tablet and the other one goes to the phone. So let's come here to variant. Let's create a variant, another variant, and let's call this tablets. So normally for tablet, if you want to know the width of a tablet, you can just come here to the home page and see the width here is 810. So as you can see, we have 810 here. So if I go back now to my navigation bar and come here to this tablet, I need to make this to have a width of like 810. So we can just click here tablet and come here to width and come here to 810 like that. So now as you can see, we've minimized the width of our initial primary, which was this one, into this one for the tablet one. But now again, we have this problem. You see our text, our buttons are crashing inside. So how can we fix this? So to do that, we can do we can cheat around here. So when inside here, notice inside here I have the name, which this should be my, let me just go back to the primary so that I can be able to name them well. But just so you know, it's best to, name your layers from the primary so that it can reflect in the tablet and also in the phone. So here I'm gonna call this my logo. So I'm just naming them, I'm just giving them labels so it can be easier for you to understand where we're starting from. So this, I'm gonna call this the menu, and then I'm just going back to my tablet again, and you can see now we have the logo and the menu here. But now let's focus on these 2. Okay, so inside this tablet we have 2 primary or 2 main layers, which is this logo, and we have the menu. So the menu is where we have a problem. The logo is okay, so this is where we want to tweak some stuff. So let's open up this menu, and inside this menu I have the links, and I have also another link here, which this is the buttons. Okay, so what we can do, we can try and get rid of perhaps some So we notice as the problem is here. It's here in this link, this other links here, this lower one, this area. So what we can do, we can cheat around here, and we can say normally we don't really, what is the main button here? So I guess the main button is this one, free trial, and this is not really much of importance. So I can just get rid of it. So I can right click on my mouse and come here to hide. So now as you can see, it's gone and the tablet is well viewed. So that could be one of the ways you can work around the tablet, because first of all, also not so many people use the tablets to browse, but so you won't really have someone missing a button in the tablet. It will be very few people, but you can handle that. But if now we go to the home page, as you can see now our tablet is still not okay. This is because we need to change this now into the tablet variant. So on this side, on this component part, this drop down section on the right side panel, come here and click tablet. Now as you can see, we have very well responsive tablet. So now as you can see on our tablet, we have this nice navigation bar fitting very well. But now when we come here and click this drop down menu, if I click here, we can still see this is still not fitting well. So let's go back to the tablet and try and fix this. So come here to the resources. This is where we have the trigger that triggers the drop down menu. So come here to link and resources, and we're gonna go directly to our content. So the idea here is very simple as well. What we're gonna do, we're just gonna adjust the sizing and the height of the elements inside this layer. So we're gonna start with this image, and I'm gonna hold shift on my keyboard. Make sure to hold shift as you decrease the sizes so that you can maintain the same aspect ratio. So I'm gonna decrease it like this, like there is okay. And then I'm gonna go to this other component, which is the one that is just below it, and I'm gonna hold shift again, and I'm gonna decrease the sizing like that, and then I'm gonna drag it inside like this so that it fits, it kind of fits my tablet here. And then I'm gonna click the main frame, which is this stack, and then I'm gonna try and adjust it and bring it inside so that it kind of appears at the center of my drop down menu. So I think this is now okay. And then I can also minimize the height of my drop down. So I'm gonna just drag it inside like that. I think that is good. And then yeah, so pretty much, so I'm gonna now see what we have. So now when I go to my tablet and I click this drop down, now you see we have a nice, we have a nice navigation bar which fits well. Okay, so perhaps you can minimize the gap here just for simplicity and for a better appearance. So I can come here and minimize the gap to like 12. Okay, now it should work well. So the next step is we're gonna see how we can now solve the font breakpoint. So again, we have a problem here. So let's double click this and let's go back to the variants. So now we're gonna see how we can create a variant for the phone. So we already created the variant for the tablet. Now we go to the phone. That is where we have some work to do. So I want you to come here and click your desktop, and you're gonna go all the way to new variant. So once you click the plus button, you create a new variant. So a new variant simply kind of duplicates the primary desktop. So come here to variant 3 and call this your phone. Okay, so let's call it phone. Let's even call it phone open, because in a phone we have to have two variants, but I'll show you why we have to have two variants. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure this phone is set to 390, which is the normal width of a phone. And then what we're gonna do next is we want to adjust the direction of the contents inside this frame. So I'm gonna hold font open, and then I'm gonna change the direction from left to right, horizontal to vertical. as you can see. So now what we have, notice here we have two layers. So these layers now align. One is on top, the other one is down. Now let's go to the logo and open it up. So inside this logo, we have the main logo, which is this one. And then we also have the icon here. So let's unhide this and see what we have. So if I click here, show, you can see, nice, we have this nice icon. So this is an icon that I had created inside the primary, but I had put it to hidden, so we can't see it. But we're supposed to see it now because we need to use it now on this phone variant. So I'm just gonna drag it to the right side like that, and then I'm gonna make sure that instead of separating this like this, I'm gonna make sure that we distribute space between. So now we're separating space between, and then I'm gonna make sure that the width of these two is set to fill the available space. Nice. So now we have sort the logo area. So we come now to the menu. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna change the direction from left to right to top to bottom like that. So come to these links here, and we also need to change the direction here to top to bottom like that. And then we also need to change the direction here to top to bottom like that. So as you can see now, our phone is coming up really well. So what we can do now, we can just adjust the sizing and the positioning. So if I come here to the top links and I open it up, I also have these other links. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them to width to fill so that they fill this available space, and I'm gonna put it to distribute from the start so that it comes to this starting point. And I'm gonna do the same for these other two. Perfect. So now we have we have a nice structure here. So we also have this other part here. So as you can see, we can tweak this button so that we have something nice. So we're gonna change the width here, so we can put it to fixed, and we can work with a similar width. So maybe I can put it to somewhere like 216, and I can do the same here for fixed width, and I can put it at 216. So that we can have a nice continuity. And then I can minimize the distance between these two buttons like that. So we need to come now to this menu, this main menu, and then we just need to increase the distance like this. Or even better, we can just distribute it between space between, so that we have a nice space between. But the problem is we have the height of this like set to fit, so we just need to put it to fixed. So I'm just gonna make sure that we increase the height like that to around 384 layer. There is good. And then now, as you can see, we have a nice spacing and a nice structure, and yeah, pretty much it. So but remember, normally we don't want to see this area here. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. And again, as you can see here, we have this big space between this section and this. So let's go to the open, and then I'm gonna minimize the padding. I'm just gonna minimize the top padding and put it to like 10, as you can see. So now we have this this logo and this at the center. So I'm gonna come here to the open, and I'm gonna make sure that the height is set to 64. This is okay. And I'm gonna come here and check the overflow. The overflow should be set to overflow hidden. Nice. So now we have something nice. But even before we do overflow hidden, let's just return it to visible. We want to make sure we do not see the contents here. So we're gonna set it to opacity to 0, and we're gonna also set the overflow to hidden, okay, just for nice, so that it looks well. And then now we're gonna create a different variant, which is going to be called our phone open. So actually this should be phone closed, sorry, this should be phone closed, and then this other one should be phone open. So this is now the variant that is gonna happen. This is going to be the one when we click this, we can see now the drawer coming out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go now to inside this logo, and inside this logo I have another icon here. If I click right click and show, you can see we have this nice X icon. So this is the icon we want to replace with this. So I'm just gonna come here to this other icon and I'm gonna click it hide so that we don't see it, and then I'm gonna take it to this other side like that. So far so good. Again, so then we're gonna come here and click here menu, the main menu. Remember we had put opacity to 0, so we're gonna add the opacity so we can see it, and then we're also gonna go back and put overflow to visible. So notice that when we add another variant, it takes all the properties from this variant to this other one. So that's why we need to, readjust the properties to what we want it to be. So now we have something looking good. Yeah, so pretty much. But now, so now when we just need to put some interactions. So what we can do, we come to this open and I'm gonna click it, and then you want to hold L on your keyboard and drag it to this other one on click. And then we want to come to this phone open, and then we're gonna click this logo, this icon, and then I'm gonna hold L on my keyboard and I'm gonna drag it to this other one. So the idea is when we click it, we go back to this variant. So now when we go to our phone, our home page, again you can see it's not yet reflected. This means that we need to go to this part here and put the variant to variant phone closed like that. So now as you can see, we have a nice look. So if I click here and view my website, although you can see this is not still positioned at the center, so we can just tweak the padding on top, perhaps increase it a bit. But you see what we have now. We have a nice responsive navigation, but still some tweaks to go. But let's test the interactivity. So if I click here, nice. So if I click here, you can see someone can open the drawer, but we still need to make some tweaks. We need to make this change log is very close to this, so we need to add some gap in here, and we also need to fix the padding on top, and also we need to fix these resources. So you see, if I click here, we still have this big, you see, we still have this big section here. So let's go back to our page, and we're gonna make sure now. So I'm gonna fix the sizing first of all. So I'm gonna make sure that the top is set to like 14, so that it fits at the center. I think that is good. Actually, 12 looks much better. Yeah. So let's now see if we can fix this area. So we notice this is very close to this main. So I'm just gonna come here to the phone, and I'm gonna minimize or increase the gap a bit so we can have some space here. That looks good. And then now I'm gonna come here to resources, and I'm gonna click it, and I'm gonna go directly to the overlay so we can make our changes. So now this is the overlay. This is what we click, and it gives us all this, and it's in our space. Very poor, not responsive. But let's see if we can fix it. So we're gonna start by changing the direction of this child here, which is inside this trigger. So notice we went to the trigger, the overlay, and now inside here we have a stack. So we need to change the direction to top to bottom like that, and then we can open it up and we can drag it down. We can drag the image down here, as you can see. So it kind of looks a bit weird, but let's try and fix it. And then let's go inside this menu, this component, and we also need to double click it, edit the component, and we need to change it. Actually, we already have another variant. So what happened here is that this is the same as this, but again it's the direction that is different. So since I already had created another variant, but I can just do it again so that you guys can understand how I did it. So I can click here, add a variant, and I can change it the direction from top to bottom like that. So it's very similar. So let's go back here and let's go to let's click here our overlay, and let's click this one, and I'm gonna change it to the variant 2. So again, now we have it, but the content is being eaten up, that's why you can't see everything. So I'm gonna make this height to fit the content, so it fits this content, and then I can now work my way and minimize the width like this. And then I can come here to my image, and I'm also going to hold shift on my keyboard and minimize my image size like that. I think 280 is good. And then we can go back to this component, and we can minimize the width to somewhere like 322 is good. So now I think this is good, it's not bad. Yeah, so and then maybe we can adjust the positioning of the main one. So now what will happen, so again, so now we need to go to the parent, which is this one, and we also need to adjust its width. So I'm gonna minimize the width to somewhere like that, and then I'm gonna drag it inside here, so we can put it here, and somewhere like that we can give it a width of like 390. Make sure you come here and put a width of 390, which is similar to the width of the phone. And then I'm gonna make sure, so this, notice this is the overlay which has a width of 390, and then now we need to make sure the content inside it is well aligned. So we're gonna come here to this stack here, and we're gonna change the position to from absolute to relative. Sorry, we need to go back to links and resources, and we need to adjust this padding. So we're gonna make sure the padding is like 15. And so what we have here is we have this overlay. This is our overlay. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna make sure that we do not see the content that is behind the overlay. I'm gonna put a fill here so that we can only see what is on top of it. And then yeah, pretty much it. And then what we have, we can just again minimize the width like that, so put it at 390. Gonna put it at 390, and then yeah, pretty much it. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm also going to add another text here, which is going to be our back button. So it's going to be the back, and I'm gonna make sure this back is set to absolute. I'm gonna drag it to this top part, and then I can add a top padding of like I can add a top padding of like 50, so we can create some space for the back, and then I can just drag it down like that. And then I'm gonna insert an arrow, come here to icons. I'm gonna look for an arrow here. So I'm gonna look for arrow, so you can arrow left, which is going to be our back. I'm gonna hold Control X, and I'm gonna also paste it inside here. So I'm gonna also make sure this is set to absolute. I'm gonna drag it next to this back. So a little bit of work here, hold shift again. Make sure you hold shift and drag the arrow to your preferred size, and then I'm gonna just position it next to the back. Yeah, I think that is good. And then I'm gonna click here back. I'm also gonna click here, and I'm gonna hold Control Alt Enter so that we can position them into a stack. So they kind of disappear because this stack is in a relative positioning. So we need to change it back to absolute, and then we need to drag it here. So, and then we need to make sure that this is set to also relative positioning. And then we need to make sure the stack is set to relative positioning, and we need to make sure the width is set to fit the content like that. And we need to make sure the stack is set to absolutely positioning, and then we just need to drag it here, and then just change the back to small, so like that. So this is just about positioning like that. I think that is good. That's pretty much it. So now we have this overlay, and then we also have this, this other part here, which is this inline link. So what we need to do is we need to adjust the height of this and make this as big as possible. Now, as you can see, we have these buttons coming up here, which is good. Yeah, so now when we exit, and we can see that we have something nice there. If I come to my homepage and I view my website, as you can see, we have this nice drop down, and then when I click here, we have this nice navigation with a back button here. But we still need to, create space between these login buttons and this overlay. So we've just put an overlay here and made it responsive. We also need to make sure that it's well aligned. So I'm gonna go back again here, and I'm gonna come here to font open, and I'm gonna click here overlay, and I'm gonna click here overlay, and then I'm gonna just minimize the distance a bit, or I can set it to even this one. And then this one, I also need to make sure that it's set to fit the content. Sorry, this one I need to make sure that it's lined to the left well. So I'm just gonna come here to this main variant, and I'm gonna get rid of the padding so that we have something aligned well. So then if I click the overlay, as you can see, we have something nice. So yeah, it's coming up really well. And then I can just position all these elements to the center like that, so that it kind of looks better. So now if I exit and I go back to my homepage, and I click here this font breakpoint, if I drag it down, you can see we have a nice responsive page. And then when I click here drop down, we have this nice responsive page again with interactive image. And then again, we can also click here when we want to. So that's pretty much it. So maybe we can also add an interaction to the back button. So click here, and let's edit our overlay, this button. And also I notice this arrow is slightly big, so I'm just gonna decrease it a bit like that. And then I'm gonna make sure we have no gap here. And then so I'm gonna click here, and I'm gonna add an interaction, new transition. On click, I want it to, I want it to go to font closed. Okay, so that's okay. So when I exit, I come back to my home page again. If I click here, you can see we have this nice navigation. And then if I click here, resources, we have this nice drop down menu, which is pretty much interactive. So if I go back, I can go back. Again, we have a problem here. We have a problem because, again, you see, if I go back, we have this, so we need to go to get rid of that. We need to go to this font closed, and we need to make sure that this menu here, which is this menu, is set to, set to hidden, so that we do not see what we're supposed to see. So visible, not visible, like that. So now if I go back and I click here and I click resources and I go back, you can see is a nice view to it. So that's pretty much it. So we've made our website to be responsive. As you can see, it now changes to how we want it to be, which is pretty interesting. So if we click here, we have a nice drop down, and then I can easily go back and continue browsing. Pretty much it. So that's it, and I hope you learned something. If you wish to practice this yourself, I will have the remix file in the description so you can check it out. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.